You feel it, don't you? The quiet watching, the unspoken awareness, like something or someone is always paying attention to your every step, even when you're alone. You've been brushing it off as paranoia, calling it overthinking, but it's not paranoia. It's real. You are being monitored, constantly, strategically, but not for the reason you think. This isn't surveillance for punishment. This is observation for positioning. You're not being watched to be taken down. You're being watched to be lifted up. There's a divine order tracking your alignment, your responses, your growth. Every time you choose peace over chaos, every time you obey that quiet nudge in your spirit, something in the unseen takes note. Something moves. This level of monitoring doesn't look like human eyes staring at you. It's subtler. It's spiritual. It's the reason you keep feeling exposed even when no one is around. It's the reason your dreams feel more intense, your solitude feels more sacred, and your battles feel heavier than usual. You're not imagining it. You're under divine surveillance, not as a target, but as a vessel. Chosen ones walk with a unique frequency. It vibrates differently in the spiritual realm. It can't be ignored. You shift rooms without saying a word. You affect atmospheres just by existing. And because of that, heaven assigns a divine system to follow your movement. Every choice you make matters. Every step you take is recorded, not for judgment, for alignment. You are being positioned for something far beyond what you can currently see. This is why the pressure feels so intense lately, why your emotions are louder, why certain relationships are crumbling without warning. It's not chaos, it's calibration. Divine order is not passive, it's precise, and it watches over those who are chosen with a level of intensity the average person won't understand. While others can slip through cracks, you are being carefully guided, even when it feels like you're wandering. Nothing in your life has been random. Not the pain, not the isolation, not even the silence. All of it is connected to the assignment over your life. And that assignment, it's being tracked. Every tear you cried in silence was seen. Every time you forgave when it hurt was witnessed. Every time you resisted the urge to give up, something in the heavens documented it. Because your obedience is building something eternal. You're not just living, you're being studied. By light, by shadow, by those waiting to see how you move. Because when a chosen one activates their calling, the spiritual landscape adjusts around them. That adjustment begins long before you realize it. You start to feel watched. People act differently. You lose privacy in strange ways. But this isn't about punishment. It's preparation. You're being tested in silence, not because you're weak, but because you're ready. The divine doesn't waste surveillance. It watches when something precious is developing. And you, chosen one, carry something rare. That's why they left you. That's why you were betrayed. That's why the doors close. Because before divine elevation, there must be spiritual observation. Heaven is watching how you respond to pressure. Not because it doubts you, but because it's preparing to reward you. And yes, you're also being watched by those in the flesh. People don't understand what they're sensing, but they know you're not ordinary. So they study you. They copy you. They challenge you without reason. You feel their eyes. You sense the tension. But this, too, is part of the surveillance. You are not being hidden to be forgotten. You are being hidden to be preserved. The wrong eyes can't see you fully, because their perception would distort your purpose. Even in your lowest moments, you were still visible to the unseen. When you felt invisible to the world, you were fully exposed to the spirit realm. Heaven saw your breaking point. Hell tried to push you past it. But you stood. You prayed. You waited. And that patience, that quiet strength, that's what caught heaven's attention. That's why things feel so delicate now. You're in a window of divine examination. Not a test to fail, a test to reveal. Your heart is being weighed, not your works. Your motives are under divine light. And the beautiful thing is, you're passing. You've made it through storms that should have drowned you. You've outlasted voices that tried to define you. You've maintained purity in a world designed to corrupt you. And because of that, new doors are forming. Not by your effort, by divine command. You see, when heaven monitors someone, it's not to control, it's to cover. You are being watched because your next move is prophetic, because your life is a blueprint, because your story is becoming a map for others who are still asleep. This isn't pressure, it's positioning. The attacks you thought were punishment were actually permission slips, granted by divine order to refine your character. Even the pain had a purpose. The isolation wasn't a prison, it was a preservation chamber. And now, heaven is leaning in closer, watching your next move, not with judgment, with anticipation. Because what's coming next isn't something you earned, it's something that's been prepared. You were always meant to walk into it. But first, the Watchers had to confirm you were ready. Not perfect. Ready. Ready to walk without applause. Ready to obey without explanation. Ready to carry without complaining. Ready to rise, even if no one cheers. You've proven you can be trusted with visibility because you stayed faithful in invisibility. You didn't let bitterness claim your soul. You didn't let loneliness distract your assignment. And now, heaven is alert. Divine order is circling, not to keep you down, but to lift you up at the appointed time. And that time, it's closer than you think. The reason your life feels so watched isn't because you're in danger. It's because you've been marked. Not marked by men, marked by heaven. There's a spiritual tag on you that signals to all realms. This one belongs to divine strategy. You're not just going through life. You're being navigated through it, moment by moment. Every delay, every redirection, every closed door was orchestrated with surgical precision. You are not in the wrong place. You are exactly where you were meant to be to receive divine revelation. Even your detours were planned. Even your missteps were repurposed. The surveillance you feel isn't condemnation, it's divine containment. To protect you from what you don't yet see. To hold you in a position long enough for your spirit to recalibrate. To stop you from rushing into something that would have unraveled the calling on your life. And you sense it. You feel the stillness, the waiting, the long pause in the natural. But in the spirit, there's movement. The Watchers are present. Angels are dispatched. The recording of your obedience is constant. You're being watched not just by heaven, but by darkness too, waiting to see if you'll slip, if you'll speak out of turn, if you'll fall into old patterns. That's why the temptation has been strong lately. Why old wounds keep resurfacing. You're not under attack. You're under examination. The kingdom watches those who have potential to carry weight. You've been entrusted with something powerful. And power attracts attention. Not for ego, not for fame, but for impact. Your decisions ripple across realms. Your prayers break more than your own chains. When you speak, the spirit world adjusts. You're not just someone who believes. You're someone who transmits. And that's why your process has been so intense, because elevation without preparation creates spiritual casualties. You were never going to be launched into purpose until every crack was sealed. Not so you'd be flawless, but so you'd be unshakable. So when your name starts to be spoken in places your feet haven't touched yet, you won't crumble under the pressure of the spotlight. They tried to break you privately, but divine order used it to build you secretly. That heartbreak, it rewired your discernment. That betrayal, it purified your trust. That delay, it sharpened your timing. You didn't just survive it, you were shaped by it. And every tear was watched, every lonely night was recorded. Not to pity you, to promote you. You've been asking why you feel exposed lately, why even strangers look at you like they know something. It's not you they recognize, it's what's on you. Your frequency changed. Your vibration rose. You don't match your past anymore. You don't fit your old labels anymore. And people can feel that, even if they can't explain it. You walk into places now and feel tension without cause. That's because you're disrupting energy fields. That's what chosen ones do. They don't conform to spaces. They rearrange them. Even your silence speaks. Even your stillness sends signals. You've become too spiritually significant to go unnoticed. That's why divine surveillance has increased. You're approaching critical thresholds, moments that shift timelines, alter destinies, birth new assignments, and heaven isn't about to let you miss them. That's why you're being corrected quickly. Why even small compromises now feel like massive spiritual disruptions. You're not being punished. You're being kept in tight alignment. When you live in alignment, you live under constant attention. Not the kind that flatters the ego, the kind that fortifies the soul. You wake up and heaven checks in. You speak and the spirit realm reacts. You take a step and instructions shift around your movement. This is the level you're operating in now, not because you chased it, but because you endured what others escaped. You didn't rush your process. You stayed in the cocoon when it felt unbearable. You remained faithful when it felt fruitless. And now, your spirit is loud, even when your voice is quiet. This is why doors are starting to creak open in places that used to be shut tight. Why people are coming back to you with apologies, with curiosity, with questions. It's not just because of what you've done. It's because of what you've become. You are now the evidence of divine faithfulness. You carry the residue of obedience, and that can't be faked. You're walking into a season where what was once spiritual is about to become visible. The monitoring will turn into movement. The whispers will turn into witness. The waiting will turn into unfolding. But don't be surprised if you feel the spiritual tension increase. Because anytime heaven begins to elevate someone, the spirit of resistance also activates. But here's the truth they never told you. Resistance confirms your ranking. They don't monitor the unthreatening. The watchers don't follow the irrelevant. And darkness never opposes what doesn't matter. Your life matters. Your walk matters. Your words matter. And because of that, you've been under divine surveillance, not to hold you back, to release you correctly. Timing is everything in divine order. That's why it's taken so long, why the breakthrough was delayed, why the promise felt distant. Because God was not just building your gift, He was building your capacity. You are now the kind of person who can carry what you once prayed for without dropping it under pressure. They're watching because your moment is near, because your words are about to break things open, because your alignment has earned attention from realms you didn't even know existed, and heaven is about to echo what you've been praying in secret. Keep walking. Even if it feels like you're walking under a spotlight. You are. But it's not the world watching. It's heaven. And heaven always watches what it's about to reward. You've always sensed there was more to your life than what meets the eye. Even when everything felt ordinary, your soul whispered something sacred. A quiet knowing, a sense of being on display without ever seeking attention. That feeling wasn't your imagination. It was your spirit detecting the divine gaze. Every chosen one is assigned watchers, not just angels to protect, but spiritual forces to record, to report, to align events according to your obedience. You're walking through life being measured by your reactions, by your ability to remain pure when bitterness knocks, by how you respond to betrayal, not how you escape it. And heaven doesn't miss a single detail. You are in the middle of a spiritual documentation, not for shame, but for preparation. There are blessings building around your behavior. You're being monitored not to be judged, but to be rewarded, to be trusted with more, to be promoted to spaces where your impact will be multiplied. It's already happening. You've noticed how people are drawn to you without understanding why, how doors open randomly and close just as fast when your spirit doesn't align. You've outgrown environments, not out of arrogance, but because your frequency no longer fits the atmosphere. And when your frequency elevates, your supervision increases. Heaven doesn't gamble with high callings. That's why you couldn't take shortcuts. That's why you couldn't get away with what others did. That's why your life has been a series of tests disguised as delays. The silence, it wasn't absence, it was observation. Every time you thought nothing was happening, You were actually passing divine audits, and now the result is clear. You're trustworthy. People around you don't know the weight you carry. They see your peace, but not the war you had to fight to maintain it. They see your strength, but not the breaking that preceded it. They don't know how many times you showed up anyway, smiled anyway, loved anyway. But heaven knows, heaven sees, heaven records. You are being watched by realms that understand what you're becoming. That's why demons flee when you enter. That's why energy shifts without a word. That's why some people try to provoke you. They feel the surveillance but don't know why. You're not just a person anymore. You've become a signal in the spirit, a disruptor, a carrier of divine codes. And when such a person walks in obedience, entire regions begin to shift. The Watchers take note of how you respond to opposition, not just physical opposition, spiritual resistance, the lies whispered to you, the doubts planted in your dreams, the delays sent to discourage you. And yet, you still moved forward, still believed, still waited, not perfectly, but faithfully. And that faithfulness, it's being written into your legacy.